People who remember a time without the internet, what do you miss about the pre-digital era? I miss curiosity. Not having answers immediately to hand. Being able to wonder about something and enjoy the feeling. Sunday evening cassette recording sessions when the FM station played a new music album without breaks. We're in the crib, drinking Moosehead, smoking Hawaiian, playing backgammon, waiting to flip the cassette cause I was a peasantess. People would actually talk, spend time with each other. It's much harder to reach out because talking to strangers or your neighbors for no reason is kinda rude now. There are so many things, but I think the biggest for me is not knowing everything that is happening all around the world. If it didn't fit in a 1-hour news segment, we didn't know about it. Now that we have so much information at our fingertips, the world feels more dangerous. It isn't, but it feels that way. Nobody had any idea what was going on, so we were generally a lot less anxious. Wouldn't go back though. Obligatory social media is cancer, internet itself, fine, good, spontaneous, thought-provoking conversation. Also, creativity and originality still being a thing. My attention span. Used to be able to watch a TV show for an hour plus. Old people worried this was breaking out brains, and we needed to read books or something. Oh yeah, I could read books for long periods too. Now I'm writing this on my phone, which I was browsing while watching TV. I pause the TV while typing, but it will go back on while I am browsing. Ugh, as a kid, having the ability to leave the house if no one had a way to reach you. Had to be home when the street lights came on. You just had this freedom that doesn't exist anymore. You can never completely disconnect. Just building forts in the woods, baby. Is that a ick? Can't you get diseases from that? Who knows? It wasn't really a pre-internet digital era, but back in the day I'd go outside with my mates and we would play football, explore the woods, build tree houses. Nowadays you cannot leave house without a phone and no one wants to get dirty. People with different personalities. Seems like a lot of folks I meet just regurgitate shit they hear from their favorite podcast or internet personality. Didn't see this and can't believe it hasn't been mentioned, but 100 going into a Blockbuster on a Friday night and renting a couple movies or video games for the weekend. I was such a great experience. Someone said that the problem with the internet is that it gave all the village idiots of the world a way to talk to each other. I wouldn't say I miss this, but I will say it was a hell of a lot easier to make outrageous claims with fact-checking being only an option for those with World Books or Encyclopedia Britannica. And while we're talking about Encyclopedia Britannica, I miss the smell of those books. I miss not having ridiculous conspiracy theories fed over and over into people's brains until they think they're real. I remember a time that was not full of patriotic nationalism. I feel like we've already had to deal with that once in the past 100 years. The joy of hearing something by chance rather than finding it deliberately. I know it sounds weird, but the unexpected sound of your favorite song on a music channel hits different. The reminder at night that most people didn't keep good track of their kids. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Greatest generations had to be reminded nightly that they had kids and to get them home. Smiley face. You would get bored at home a lot faster and want to go outside and do things. Go sit by a river and watch the ducks play, try to catch a fish, ride a bike around. Nowadays everyone just sits around consuming media to fill their spare time, and it's really unhealthy. The stuff my sisters and I did in the games we made up. Playing with the neighborhood kids. Eating vegetables from the neighbor's garden with permission. The phone ringing and not knowing who it was and yelling, "Mom, it's for you." Not thinking so much, who's going to call, what post just came over the phone. Back then we were just in that moment. No stupid online dating. You don't get judged in an instant to be worthy or not just by your picture and a few pieces of info. People actually spend time with you in person to try to get to know you. Social pressure and anxieties were limited by your immediate environment. Things could get really bad of course, but no stressing over might this end up on TikTok etc., and not an infinite amount of people to compare yourself to and be judged by. I often think about that. Before email everything was done using paper and telephone. Fax machines got popular in the 80s. Before cell phones we had pagers and phone booths. We called in for messages. Assistants would take phone messages on little slips of paper. Yes, I just told my kid, "You are a child, go outside and play." I miss the neighborhood kids all playing together, going on bike rides with friends to the corner store, and now it's all scheduled play dates. Parents supervise everything. We watched Free Willy the other day and my kid was astounded that the boy biked to the aquarium without an adult. I miss the effort people needed to put in to be considered a friend. It's easy now to say, "Oh, we're connected on social media and therefore we can get in touch quickly, so that must make us friends." But that's not the case when many people don't take that extra step to then initiate those things and maintain physical connections. The fact that when there's something going on, people will be watching, listening instead of trying to whip out their cell phones to record it for social media to get clout, likes, clicks. Hanging out with friends in real time. Not constantly having conversations interrupted, or the shitty friends that have to document everything for the sake of followers. Rolling eyes face. I miss not feeling that if the whole infrastructure for the internet goes down, we're screwed. Really screwed. I had a few pen pals when I was in school, and it was always nice to receive handwritten letters from them. I get anxious without it and used to not be this way. Trying to break the habit of looking at it so often. I miss no cell phones more than no internet. Christ, people are so fucking addicted to their phones, it's scary. Also miss when the internet wholeheartedly and relentlessly mocked vertical video. Now we have nothing but. I didn't have internet at home until almost 2010. So before that I read a lot more books. Wish I could still sit down and read for hours. Calling people. Getting actual letters in the mail. Having a normal conversation when you go out to eat without checking for text messages. I miss when we didn't have caller ID and didn't have an answering machine, and the phone would ring during dinner. No one made a move to answer it. It could have been an important call. It could have been marketing. It didn't matter, because we were having dinner. There was no social media, so I'd never been exposed to my family's and neighbors' deepest, ugliest, often radicalized by other people's social media political and social beliefs, so I could actually like them. Going to the arcades to fight a lineup of competitors. Once fighting games started being playable online, less and less people started coming. It was a great way to meet people, talk shop about the characters, etc. The local arcade was one of my favorite places back in middle high school. The shared culture, for example, everyone in your school would have watched the same TV shows and there would be a shared bank of experience and references. Hardwired telephones. If you've never used one, then you just can't appreciate the fidelity of a hardwired telephone. You could hear every breath, every nuanced little sound. Speaking to your main squeeze has never been the same since the cell phone was invented. I like how nobody expected you to be connected to the world's information 24/7, so not knowing everything wasn't such a huge deal. You got to experience the world. Nature. You could go out and absorb the vibe of the local environment. You could indulge in hobbies. Create things that you otherwise would not create. You could go on the hunt for specific interests. In doing so you could generate memories and bond with the world in this way. Jack shit. I lost my rose-tinted glasses a long time ago. Things were not simpler, people were not more polite, there's much cooler stuff to play with now. I miss being blissful to the amount of people on this planet who are absolute garbage. Some people feed off negativity and pain and want nothing more than to ruin things for others. Finding things out through the grapevine. Wanting to know how to beat that new Super Nintendo game but don't know a certain part. Ask your friends. Eventually getting there was quite the accomplishment. These days you'll find full tutorials and YouTube videos within hours of release. Everyone was much more present, and the present. People actually hung out, didn't worry so much low FOMO about what was going on elsewhere. I'm so glad I grew up pre-internet. It was so much real. I miss the thrill of getting lost and asking for directions. Now Google Maps just insults my navigation skills. I don't read books nearly as much as I did before the internet, cable TV, and I miss quality print magazines, newspapers, periodicals, too. I miss having a man come up to me and ask me for my name and number. Dating sites are the worst. Also miss not being asked for a nude pic within hours or days of meeting online because dating sites didn't exist. I miss not thinking that every man is a creep. I miss not having the swipe left or right option. I miss getting to know someone in person. Cell phones and internet came in 1992 to me, and people were really reliable before that. You made an appointment for Thursday in 3 weeks at 17:30 and 99 would show up on time. Work could be left behind, ignored during your off-time vacations. Now, especially after remote work during COVID, employers' bosses expect you to answer their questions when you aren't on the clock, and they know you always have your phone with you, so ignoring them isn't really an option. I liked having that sense of complete freedom on WKNDS vacations personally. You could do something dumb in public without thousands of websites documenting it for eternity. Bullying was pretty localized, and you could move or switch schools locations if you really needed to. I feel like people had more time for quality time with family and friends. The world was less superficial. Less connections, but the ones you had were more meaningful. People were more present, less distractions. Traveling in Europe solo, arriving in a strange city in a strange country at night and using your wits to figure out a place to eat and sleep. Today your phone pretty much leads you by the hand and tells you what to do. Problem-solving skills go dormant. If you did something embarrassing, only a few people got to see it, not the whole world. They may tell everyone, but at least the video didn't last forever. Nothing really. It was self-evident that newer technology was coming out. I wish things got here earlier. People not thinking they should be the center of other people's worlds, i.e. pre-social media specifically. If people wanted to learn about something, they could depend on libraries for genuine, mostly confirmed research. People can still do so, but they choose to use the internet because it's faster. And they assume that it is factual without checking references, leaving high school knowing you never see any of these jerk saga. Oh, here you are. Well, this is awkward. Summertime literally meant see you in the fall with the exception of a few close friends, neighbors. Otherwise that first day of school was everything: to be at the bus stop again after summer, to literally see classmates again after 2 months, hanging out with friends on the mountain or field with a keg, music blaring from someone's car and friends just hanging, drinking a little beer and smoking a lot of pot, not having a connection to everyone and everything. I don't think we're meant to have that. Especially for relationships. Even platonic ones. Someone else is just a DM away. Cycling to a friend's house to see if they were home, and if they were allowed to come outside. We'd bike around literally miles away from home. We'd often go to scrap yards and just that creepy old house that other kids say a murderer lives in, but never did any damage or anything, just curious exploration.